Hey guys, haven't made a video in a long time, so back now though. Better get right to it. I've seen a lot of questions about the ancient power resets recently on the forums and in Discord, and so I figured I would show what I do after I reset. So this is my 13th reset. As you can see, I spread my points. Since Trendy changed the early points to give you more power, I usually just put like 1 point into some of the 4%ers, and then you know, tower damage is really good. The first 3 points in tower damage are worth a lot, and then the last two are just 1%. So kind of want to get the first three in tower damage, and then work your way up from there. So yeah, I recorded the beginning of one of my resets here. So this is literally what I do in order after I reset. So first thing, I assign the new point, which I've already got all the good stuff basically at this point. So it's just 1% more crit or whatever, and then I get the ascension done on my EV2, which is the weapons manufacturer spammer, and this guy is my Skyguard and my DPS. So I use a nuke monk. So I max out all the useful nuke monk things. And then this is how I start my run. I go to Onslaught level 10 because you get a reset. You get an AP weapon every 10 floors. So no matter what your base floor is, even if it's beyond 10, you still get an AP weapon. So I always start by going to floor 10. If I wanted to, I could not upgrade my relic, but I do upgrade my relic, and sometimes I forget, and I'll find out pretty quick, because I don't necessarily get leaks, but like Tusker or some crazy thing will be able to walk through. So, but yeah, I max out my weapons manufacturer relic to C7. Be careful not to go past C7. I've done that once. Wasted a amp and 2 million. Yeah, so why weapons manufacturers? One, they're pretty damn OP with the stuns. Everybody knows this, but they also kill air. So if you had to choose one thing to upgrade and you're trying to be cheap like me, weapons manufacturer is very good to upgrade, because like I said, it kills ground really well. It kills air. At the early floors, you don't even have to worry about any kind of headstrong or even, well, Kurzakazi is a little bit of a problem, but early floors don't usually have Kurzakazi, and if they do, you can just either re-roll or put something else to deal with it. Yeah, I mean, you can weapons manufacturers against air. You can make that work on any map. I've used it on any map. Uh, you know, you might need a monk or a dryad to fly up to high places to get it in the right spot, but it's definitely doable. All right, well, I'm gonna skip to the end of uh, this floor 10 so that we can keep going. All right, here we are at the end of floor 10. I'm about to get my AP weapon. So this is totally worth doing. If you're extra cheap, strategy could be to use campaign relics, or just like throw a couple upgrades into like a low grade relic, and then use the gear that you find here, like use some of the blue relics or whatever, and work your way up through a couple like extra floors in between. I feel like unless you're really strapped for cash, that's kind of a waste of time. Or if you're really strapped for moats, upgrading one relic's really not that big of a deal. So, Anyway, so after floor 10, I do floor 20. So my starting floor right there, as you saw, was 26 right now. If you're starting floors below 20, you don't have to do this. But once you go past it, you have to go back to these. But it's not a bad thing. It's actually pretty handy. And the reason is you can pick up DPS gear. You can pick up relics for your other towers. So, for example, right now I'm going to use the weapons manufacturers, and then I like throwing in a fissure for good measure. Later on, the fissures are totally crucial to kill the frost mobs, but in the early floors, it really doesn't matter. Like I can do probably the high 20s with just weapons manufacturers. Because I mean, you have a lot of DU. Sometimes you can put 2 weapons manufacturers in the lane if you really have to. So that one relic really gets you pretty far. But then once your reset floors are getting pretty high, like mine is I think 40 something now. So weapons manufacturers alone is not gonna cut it. So you have to pick up the medallions. Make sure they're always mythical or above, because otherwise you're disabling your shards, and I'm using all gilded shards. I have 4 or 5 sets of gilded shards that I use. And yeah, so you don't want to disable those. A gilded shard is worth more than, like you can use a crappier mythical medallion rather than a blue medallion and disable one of your shards. Alright. And then I also forgot to upgrade to do the ascension on my Lavamancer. So why don't I cut to that? Alright, so here, wave 2, I remembered to do the ascension for my Lavamancer. Floor 20 is not important right now. They're just there for show, basically. But yeah, I would have definitely noticed once I started going into my regular floors. So you can see the standard loadout pretty much applies to almost all towers. It's always gilded destruction, gilded rate, and gilded strikes. There are very few towers that I use that are not like that. So moving forward to the 5th wave here, just the end of 20, getting my 2nd AP weapon. Let's see. Also, in case you're wondering, these AP weapons all sucked, but it's nice to get a lot of them. So eventually, I'm sure I'll get some maxed out once eventually. It's definitely, resetting is definitely pretty rewarding on from the perspective of AP weapons and defenders packs. Like I've been getting decent amount of defenders packs. Before, when I was pushing to floor 103, I was getting almost nothing. I was getting no AP weapons. I was getting no defenders packs. Like it was horrible. And then once I started resetting, it was just like decent. Alright, and then finally, once I have the first 2 floors done, I go to floor 26. And the nice thing about doing that now is I'll be able to use the floor 20 relics, which I think are either C5 or C6, and those will definitely help me out. So if I had like a hard lane on this one, on floor 26, with frosty mobs or something, the weapons manufacturer might not hold down. Or there's also a lot of laziness involved. Like I don't really feel like putting down 3 different weapons manufacturers just because the lane is hard. So throwing a fissure on something makes it a lot quicker, and reset's all about laziness. It's all about how quick you can do it, how lazy you can do it, and how AFK you can be, because nobody wants to sit there and reset 1,000 times or whatever and watch the map every time. That's just not fun. I don't know why Trinity decided to do their game this way, but it's not interesting gameplay or anything. I'm just looking to get my resets out of the way and then push the floors again, which It does get interesting at the top once you start having to do some crazy stacking, and the omega waves are definitely interesting because it's always something different. You always have to build the lanes differently. When they work out the way they're supposed to, anyways. You know, when the ogre teleports past your stuff, and you wasted an hour, doing sunken temple, because as high floors doing sunken temple takes a really long time because you have to pay attention. You have to double check everything. You have to upgrade everything. You can't just build something and let it go. Like one little mistake and you just everything goes to hell. So. Yeah, so this is the floor 26. I now have pretty good fissures. I like to put frosty towers. Frosty towers now work for um, controlled burn. So I don't even use PDTs usually in my resets unless I really have to, and um, which hasn't happened too much yet. So the only time I'd have to use a PDT is if it's a frosty mob or berserker or lady berserker controlled burn lane. That's the only time I would need a PDT, and in that case, an unupgraded, like an ungilded PDT works just fine. So there's no reason to do that. Let's see. What did I forget something? No, this map's actually pretty cool. I like this map better than the Plunderer's Paradise. This map's actually pretty quick. It has tons of DU, and yeah. So here's an example of how to get rid of flyers with just weapons manufacturer. So on this map, the flyers spawn in the middle of the air, super high up. There's no way to catch them before they get. Oh, there's probably a way, but there's not a good way to catch them before they get to the crystal or the mast in this case. But if you just put a weapons manufacturer around the crystal, which is super nice anyways as a backup in case some stupid crap gets through, like a Lady Orc or Tosca or whatever, they get stuck. They usually die to this. So I actually do this quite a bit whenever I have extra DU, just as a nice backup, because I'm just AFK. I'm like, working or watching something on the side. I don't usually pay attention at all. I just look over and hit G whenever I pay attention. So yeah, I guess that's it. I guess you guys can watch the air get killed. Like I said, this basically works on every map. I've done this on Throne Room, on what's the other one? Rampart Siege is another one where you can just put it on the door, the door crystals. Yeah, it works really well if you have good weapons manufacturer. I mean, you gotta have the C7 DPS. Anyways, thanks for watching. If there's any questions, leave comments. I might make a video again once I start pushing up the higher floors. And yeah, see you guys later. Oh yeah, if you want to subscribe, you can. I really don't care. I have like 5 people who subscribe, but you can definitely subscribe, okay? It's cool. Yeah.